Now, I know there are a lot of games left to play in this NFL season, but I think we're at that point where we gotta have a talk about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is really an anomaly in the NFL that skyrocketed to fame after coming in week 13 of last season and winning out and sending his team to the playoffs after being Mr. Irrelevant in the draft prior. He has had a wild start to his NFL career. He had won 15 straight regular season games to start his career, but since he's lost 3 straight. And it's really led to fans and me too asking what the hell is going wrong in San Francisco and what's wrong with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy really is just a guy that came out of nowhere last season as a rookie. He wasn't a very talked about quarterback in the 2022 NFL draft, and even then he was barely drafted. Like I said, he was Mr. Irrelevant. There was no reason that he was supposed to see the field last season. The 49ers were putting all of their faith in Trey Lance and still even had Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. But of course, as we know now, Lance got hurt and then Garoppolo came in and then Garoppolo got hurt. So all of a sudden, it was up to Brock Purdy, and he was shockingly really good. He came in week 13 and helped the 49ers beat a pretty good Dolphins team and then turned around and won his first 5 career starts. In all of the regular season, Purdy passed for 1,374 yards and 13 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. The 49ers even won back-to-back to get to the postseason and make the NFC Championship, but then it all went south. Brock Purdy tore his UCL in the game, and he did end up coming back in after Josh Johnson got hurt, but he couldn't even really throw the ball. It was a really tragic end to what could have been an amazing storyline for the 49ers, but the injury really hindered that. He did get a surgery, and after a long offseason, he was clearly the guy in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan put all of his faith in giving Brock Purdy the reins, and they even ended up trading Lance away to the Cowboys, and Garoppolo ended up signing with the Raiders. So at that point, Brock Purdy was the guy in San Francisco. And honestly, early on, he didn't miss a beat. He was still good. He still looked like that guy that came in week 13 last year. The 49ers looked just as dominant as I think we all expected them to be, and the 49ers won their first 5 games of the season, and Purdy was playing great. In those 5 games, he threw for 1,271 yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, and added 2 rushing touchdowns. He was playing well, and the 49ers were looking like maybe the best team in football until, they weren't. San Francisco played Dallas in week 5 in primetime and absolutely crushed them 42-10, but since, the Niners have just scored 17 points in every game. The offense just couldn't get going against a really good Browns defense, and Purdy threw his first interception of the season and only completed 44% of his passes. It was a really rough day for Purdy, but it really just showed how good the Browns defense is, so there was really no point in looking too far into it, outside of the fact that they just lost to a team that was being led by PJ Walker. The offensive line really just got exposed in that game, and some key injuries like Christian McCaffrey surely didn't help. Now, the real concern came from week 7 at Minnesota. I don't think it's a secret that the Vikings weren't really that great of a football team to start the season. I mean, that's just a reality. They really still aren't that good of a football team. And the 49ers somehow ended up losing 22-17, and I will say that's a little bit complicated. Purdy went 21 of 30 for 272 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. And I think it was really one of the first times where we really started to see some very odd decision making by Purdy, which is something that has not been a thing for really his entire career up until this point. Well, it came out that after the game that Purdy was suffering from concussion-like symptoms. He was put in concussion protocol ahead of week 8, but did manage to clear in time. And again, the 49ers lost another game, this time to the Bengals 31-17. Luckily, San Francisco just got a bye and may be able to finally figure things out this week, but for the past 3 weeks, man, it's been ugly. So what's going on? I really do think that the Brock Purdy concussion hurt his performance in week 7. I mean, he didn't even look like the same guy for the rest of the game, but was playing well before. Then you look at week 7 and week 9, and that was against a really good defense and then a really good football team. I will say, even though they struggled to start the season and it looked like, the Bengals might be out of the race, the Bengals have really turned it around and looked like one of the best teams in football as of late. So dropping a game to them isn't really that crazy, but the Browns game definitely had you questioning some stuff. I do think that the 49ers playing really good teams has obviously played a huge role. I mean, the 49ers are still a very good, talented team, and I think they're gonna figure it all out, but I do wonder if Purdy got rushed back a little too early. I mean, it low-key reminds me a little bit of like that Tua Tagovailoa mess from last season. I mean, obviously, it's not as severe as Tua's was. I mean, dude couldn't even stand up, but once he did suffer that concussion, he really did look like a completely different player, and Purdy still hasn't been as good yet. He's a player that has really benefited from the system, and he needs the right things around him to succeed, and when all those things are right, he does succeed. He has succeeded. Like I said, last season he brought his team to the NFC Championship, and I truly believe if his UCL injury doesn't happen, the 49ers might be able to pull out a dub in that game. So I don't think the question is whether or not Brock Purdy is a good NFL quarterback. I definitely think that he can be the quarterback to lead the 49ers deep in the playoffs or maybe even Super Bowl. We don't know how he's going to handle that type of pressure, but based off of how he handled the wild card and divisional game last season, I think he can handle it. But I think the biggest reason why I'm not ready to jump ship on the Brock Purdy train is because I do think he'll turn it around, because he has great talent all around him and a great head coach in Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers are really way too talented to fail this season. Like, even if they're playing bad, they still should look somewhat competent. Now, dropping 3 games in a row is concerning. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The 49ers are now in a spot where they got to come out next week and prove that they're still, the 49ers, a team to be scared of, a wrecking ball to the rest of the NFL. And I think having a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars is a good game to do that. The Jags are a team that have been quietly good this season, and I do think the Jags are a good football team, but getting a win over them would be really good in re-solidifying yourself as one of the best teams in football, which I do truly believe they are. But yeah, there may be some reasonable reasons to be worried about this 49ers team and Brock Purdy, but at the end of the day, I really do think they'll figure it out, and I still do believe that they're one of the best teams in football, and they're going to be playing in late January. It's time for them to finally get their heads out of their ass, come out of their Week 9 bye, and smack a good AFC South team in the mouth. Because while the 49ers have been struggling, I don't think that's going to be the case for the rest of the season. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed this one, make sure to smash that like button. And if you don't already, subscribe to the channel down below and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss an upload by us. Let me know what you guys think about Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Like I said, I'm not ready to panic yet. This is still a really good team, and I do think Brock Purdy has all the tools to be able to carry this team to success. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Brock Purdy. Do you guys think he's an issue, or do you guys think this is just kind of a little hiccup that they're going through the season? Let me know down below, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.